Well, since late February is when we're starting to run out of a lot of the greens that we harvested this past summer, this GreenStalk is really saving our bacon. Guten gardening, everybody. You know, it's been a couple of weeks since we've done an actual update tour of our indoor growing space. We've been so busy with our giveaway videos and that entire series. We've got a lot more educational content coming your way soon, but I do want to get a harvest in today because a lot of what we've started in here is actually ready to start harvesting. And so, hey, a February pre-storm harvest, and yeah, we're all about to get that same big storm, I think. Well, it's just time for that. And I do really want to show off some of what we have growing in our GreenStalk here because it just looks fantastic. And on top of that, some of the other experiments that we got started, let's provide a couple of updates of what's going on in our indoor garden. Well, I'm going to start with my GreenStalk right now because we've got some radishes in here to harvest. These are our white icicle radishes. Take a look at this. I'm just going to pull one of these out of here so you can see what just grew in the top tier of this GreenStalk. Doesn't that look fantastic? You know, when we tried growing these white icicle radishes in the spring last season, we actually ended up with too much heat, I think, and they went to seed, so we didn't get any of this production. But here indoors, take a look at that beauty. That is going to be absolutely tasty. And remember, with the greens on these radishes, those are edible as well. They're great raw in salads. I actually like to steam ours up a little bit, but I've got a couple more in here. Let's go get them. And I think I actually pointed out in one of the earlier videos that I didn't expect necessarily to get, big radishes off of each of these. Wow. But the leaves themselves were edible. So even if I didn't get really thick, really plump radishes, we'd still be able to enjoy these radish greens. But, harvesting these now, there you go, look at that. It's another nice one there. Harvesting these now means that I can now replace these with an additional plant or a new plant in here. I'm going to have quite a few of these. And the ones that are a little bit smaller, I can also leave these in here a little bit longer and see if they'll develop a little bit further. Those aren't the only radishes we have in here. We also have some nice red radishes. Let's see how this one turned out. That's looking really nice too. Woo! Look at that. Beautiful. Hey, I tell you what, some tasty eating in February. I love a good radish. To be honest with you, again, when I was younger, I've talked about this in previous videos, but when I was younger, I did not love the taste of radishes at all. But once I started growing these radishes in the garden, the taste just was so different for me. And the varieties all have a different level of heat, if you want to say radishes are hot or spicy. And the varieties we've been growing haven't been ultra spicy. And I just love that flavor. Love to slice them up and add them to a salad. They're fantastic roasted. Well, let's spin this around. Nice little spinner here, making this easy to move around to our merlot lettuce. Look at the color on this merlot lettuce. You see all that bright, vibrant green, and then these bigger leaves get that beautiful red tinge to them. That's that merlot name. That's where it gets its name. Isn't that majestic right there? And when I'm harvesting my lettuce, because we're not going to have excess heat in here, it's indoors, I'm going to do this as a cut and come again. So we'll just cut it off. I'm just going to pull this one off though. But we'll just cut it off and let it continue to grow. Here are some of our beets, and those beets themselves aren't getting that big yet, but the leaves are getting to a really nice size. So I may get a little production in here. That wasn't my full purpose in growing the beets in here. Those are our golden beets, my favorites. But our purpose primarily was, in addition to those potential beet roots, was to get these leaves. Here, let me show you the biggest one so far that's really producing nicely. See these beet leaves right here? This beet, which is from our Detroit red beets, these leaves are the perfect size. And I'm just going to take one or two because I still want the plants to keep growing. But they're the perfect size for eating, and they're so tasty. And I'm curious, how many of you prefer to steam or eat these beet leaves as a part of a salad? For me, the leaves themselves have a bit of a tang to them, but they still have that nice earthy flavor to them. So it's not really that strong beet flavor, but you can get the hint of it. That's so nice. This is our callaloo. Boy, when the seedlings came up for this, they were so tiny, but this plant is looking really nice. Looks like it needs to be fed. I'm gonna make that happen, so we'll keep this growing for us. This is the first time growing callaloo. I'm pretty excited about that. Now, unfortunately, not everything has gone exactly as we'd like. These chickpeas, they're still alive. You can see it right here, but just barely. And the lower tier did not go so well. They died back. So that, unfortunately, is an experiment that's not going the way we want. We're gonna restart that in the near future. And this is the ginger that we started in the GreenStalk. You can see we've got some growth off here, but this is not nearly as nice as the other ginger we were experimenting with. And our spinach has not gone a long way yet, but it is starting to grow since I dropped down these other lights lower. This is the light that we're using over top of our potatoes, and this one is as well, but that has really helped out, shining a nice light on our spinach. So that's going to help this take off. It's still looking really nice, but it just hasn't developed as far along as we want it to. Now, I said I'd show you a couple of our other experiments and how they're going. These are our carrot tops. You can see they're in the plastic container. These are looking still really nice and healthy. They're starting to grow a little bit more. These are the ones that I put a rooting compound on, so we're trying to keep these nice and alive. They're looking great. And these are our ginger. Take a look at this. We've got about 2 feet plus of height. This one I definitely have to transplant. There's no room in this little container, so I'm gonna get that transplanted. But these are super awesome. I tell you what, this is again our first time trying to grow ginger, and the fact that we're getting some really nice growth from these and from the ones in our raised bed. Now you can't see them as well. They're kind of getting hidden by our potato plants. This one took a little bit longer to come up, but you can see it right there. Now right behind me, I did accidentally drop a seed in our raised bed here, and I didn't know what it was. And I think we're starting to figure out what I actually accidentally grew in here. Because our first flower opened up. You can see that right there. Our first flower opened up, and you can see it looks to me like what we've got in here. Well, you tell me, what does that look like to you? Go ahead and leave a comment and let me know what you think this is. I think it's pretty clear what it is, but I don't know how we're gonna have space for this plant in here the whole time. Like early on we had a few problems. These are some of the earlier leaves, but it's nice and healthy coming out here right now. Yeah, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. It's so funny how that happens. We get volunteer plants every year in different parts of our garden, and it's kind of a fun surprise if you have room for the plant that's about to grow there. All right, let's take a look at our kohlrabi. Kohlrabi, what I consider to be one of the most underrated vegetables out there. We've got about 1 inch diameter kohlrabi on here right now. Let's look down in here. They were planted too closely together. I never thinned them out, but you know what? I think we're still gonna get a couple of inches. These are such quick growing kohlrabi in here. The leaves are amazing tasting. The whole kohlrabi itself is wonderful. Today at the school where I work, they were serving jicama sticks, and I said to my students, I would much prefer to make some raw sticks out of kohlrabi and eat those. I'm not a big jicama person. If you love jicama, let me know. We've never actually grown it or even tried to grow jicama, but kohlrabi, any day of the week, I absolutely love the taste. And right next door to the kohlrabi, we've got some of our green garlic. Might be a little bit hard to see at first, but this is green garlic from Keen Garlic, the place where we got our organic garlic this season. He had some what he calls green garlic, which are basically small entire garlic bunches that we plant all at once, and then they come up and we just eat the garlic greens. That's the purpose of these. And I planted 4 in here. You got 1 right there. There's our second one right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got all these garlic greens coming up. And these greens can be used in salads. You can make a kind of garlic stir fry. The flavor, oh man. It's that's an explosion of garlic flavor. That is absolutely perfect, absolutely delicious. Could be used in any of our dishes, even that we're making right now for dinner. That's awesome. That came up in the span, I would say, of about 4 weeks. We're at this point, maybe 5 weeks before we got to this point. After just putting them in the ground, I buried them about 2 inches deep, and there they are. So that's going to keep producing. That's actually something we have to look forward to in the spring as well, because those will come up a lot earlier than the rest of the garlic that we have planted. But for now, we can enjoy that fresh garlic green taste here in the middle of winter. And of course, the green that we have in all of our gardens, we always grow our kale. Let's take off a couple of pieces here. This kale is magnificent right now. No bugs, nothing on here. Those ladybugs did their work, and this has been producing so nicely. And now we can come in and start harvesting off those lower leaves. And actually, since you can see how this is usually a dominant plant, whenever you have a couple of them side by each, one of them grows a little bit faster. That's absolutely fine. Now we start harvesting back on this plant, and that's going to give this smaller plant some room to grow. But I've actually got quite a bit. Look at the size of these leaves here. Look at this. That deep green, healthy kale. You know, we grow that to the point where we're harvesting outdoors all the way up through December sometimes here in Zone 5, Wisconsin. And now we've got a continuation all winter long indoors. And I got a couple of these leaves at the very bottom there that yellowed out a little bit. Those are going to go to our worms, although I'm sure our rabbits would like them as well. But I want to get these into our worms, because wherever possible, we don't want this food to go to waste. Well, I showed our potato plants and how they're growing just the other day, but I do want to update you to show you all the buckets we've got in here. We've got 7 different containers full of these potatoes, hopefully growing really well underneath. Now you have to forgive the sound of the heater in here. That's one of the things you have to deal with when you're growing indoors. But our 2 containers of our herbs are going quite nicely. Look at how beautiful this sage plant is. Look at these blossoms. I tell you what, we're definitely going to be collecting seeds from this, but I find this to be an absolutely amazing looking plant. And the fact that we've now had this for nearly a year because we brought these plants indoors is fantastic to me. I'm really excited to be able to continue to have these fresh herbs in here and to start planting more in the very near future, because it's time to start some of these herbs from seed. And I'm really excited to show you some of what we're starting here in late February. We've got that video coming up next, so you gotta stay tuned for that one. That's a big and important video. I've got my seed starting mix all ready to go. So that's coming up, and I am going to show you a couple of things that we're growing right now, like our sweet potato slips that are started. That's coming up in that next video where we talk about the things that you want to get started in late February. So I don't want to show all of that now, but you got to know there's a whole bunch more coming your way. I'll show you this one. Take a look at that sweet potato slip going and getting ready to provide us with some really great sweet potatoes this coming season. Well, it definitely felt weird not to be doing a giveaway in a video. It's been a long time. It's been 31 videos since that happened, but hey, I hope you enjoyed today's quick little harvest tour. I've got to get these upstairs so we can get these put away. Well, the ones that we're not going to eat right away. We've got a lot coming. We got a ton coming your way to prepare for the spring. We've got a whole bunch more indoor growing. Again, that snowstorm coming your way is no joke, and it's reminding us that we're not through the winter yet. So stay tuned for more content. We've got it there for you. Well, folks, we hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did and you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that like button. That helps us out tremendously. And if there's anybody else who needs to be inspired to grow indoors, please go ahead and share this content with them as well. And most importantly, remember, when you're with us, you are good to grow.